All right, we're now live on YouTube.
Okay, that's in the page now too.
Okay, excellent. I'll just check that. Okay, I can see that we are live on Artsfront and on YouTube. That's good.
Hey Priya, do you have a text for Nimi just in case her call drops out? Yeah, for a mobile phone contact.
Nimi, do you mind keeping your WhatsApp on so that I can text you in case there's a problem?
Yeah, it's on.
Great.
Excellent. Alrighty, so we're live on both. So I'm now going to mute, and then you guys are welcome to start at midday.
Hi everyone, welcome. Before we start, if you want to start texting on the chat function to let us know which lands you're joining us from today and your name, that would be great.
Hello, Veronica. Hello.
Hey, Shrini.
Hello.
I feel like we're having a house party. It's all friends.
Hello, hello.
All right, I think we could start. What do you say, Priya?
Yep, sounds good. Welcome everyone. I'm Priya Srinivasan. I live and work on the lands of the Wurundjeri and people of the Kulin Nation and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I also acknowledge the gods, the goddesses, the spirits and elders from my country who are here with me today. I also acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded and we exist on stolen land. I'm an independent artist and also the co-artistic director of Sangam, the Performing Arts Festival of South Asia and Diaspora in Australia. I'm originally from Tamil Nadu in South India, but I came here to Naarm many years ago. And we're really excited today to have our first international guest, Nimi Rafael from India. But before I introduce her, few things before that. The lunch is being recorded and will be live streamed and available for viewing afterwards on www.llol.com.au. We will be sticking to the 30-minute time frame because of sign language interpreters and captioners. And if you haven't done so already, please introduce yourselves in the Zoom chat through the text function to say which country you're from and what your name is. There is live captioning available. If people click on the captions icon on Zoom, there's also live signing from Susan at Auslan on the left, and people participating that way need to just click on Susan's video and pin it. And also, if you have any questions throughout this session, please type it on the Zoom chat and or put your hand up using the hand up button, and we'll try and get to you as soon as we can. And if you can also, in the meantime, keep your mics muted unless you're speaking. And if you have any tech issues or problems, please email contact@artsfront.com. I'd also like to introduce Veronica Pardo, the CEO of Multicultural Arts Victoria, and have her introduce herself. We've been doing several of these lunches and we're really grateful to Artsfront for creating these platforms to have conversations around diversity. Veronica.
Thanks, Priya, and welcome everybody. I'll keep it brief. I'll just let you all know that I'm also coming to you from Wurundjeri land on the Kulin Nation, and I offer my respects to all elders past, present and emerging. It's fantastic to have you all here. I just want to get to the conversation with Nimi and give her as much time as possible to talk to us about the incredible work that she's been doing, not just in India, but also here in Australia. So I think with that, I'm going to pass over to Priya to kickstart our conversation with Nimi.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to say there's so much to be said about who Nimi is and Adi Shakti Arts, where she's based. And I don't think we can get to all of it today, but what I will say is Artsfront has her bio, so please go and read that when you have a minute. And there's also clips to a lot of her work. But I'll just do a brief intro of her right now to say that Nimi is the co-artistic director, resident actor, dancer, musician at Adi Shakti, a state-of-the-art center for performance. She was originally trained in Mohiniyattam and Kuchipudi classical forms from a premier institute in Kerala called Kalamandalam. And since 2001, Nimi has performed with Adi Shakti in many of its really charged, cutting-edge political theatre works to national and international high acclaim. More recently, she's written and directed 2 new plays, including Nidravatam and Bali, which were received with wide acclaim in India and elsewhere. The biggest other thing I wanted us to also note is that Nimi has worked internationally, collaboratively in different places with different artists, but more recently she came to Australia through the Insight Intensive for a 10-day masterclass facilitated by Force Majeure, and was also a Kia Award International Choreographic Fellow to Dance House in 2020 before the borders shut down. So she is really keen on reconnecting with us. And before she starts to speak a little bit about herself and her practice, I thought we could show one clip of some of the work that Adi Shakti does that Nimi is in. And this first one is called Ganapati. It's a short clip, and it was written by Veena Chawla, the original founder of Adi Shakti, and you can see Nimi performing in it. Thanks. Thanks so much, Elliot. Nimi, would you like to take over and start speaking a little bit about yourself and your practice, and something about Adi Shakti as well? We're just so excited that you're here, beaming in from India on Zoom right now.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be part of this conversation. It's really good to start the day with Ganapati, watching Ganapati, because it is about creation, new creation, and how creativity comes together. So I think it was the right clip to play as the day begins here. I know it's already midday for you, but that was really nice to see. Well, I am sitting in Adi Shakti. I know you can't see the campus, but everyone is welcome whenever we can travel. I have been part of Adi Shakti for the past 19 years, and I feel I am one of those very blessed souls who had the luck to be near Vinapani and Vinay, to be mentored in a way that every artist should have the opportunity to be mentored. But Adi Shakti originally was founded in Bombay in 1981 and relocated to Pondicherry, the outskirts of Pondicherry, where there is a place called Auroville, where we have a beautiful campus which has a theater and guest house and a dining room, and where lots of artists and thinkers and performers come from all around the world to do their sabbaticals or workshops or performances. It really depends on what and how they want to engage with Adi Shakti. But it's a very intense practice that we have of sharing the space with other artists. And if I really talk about the kind of work that we do, we are a performance and a research company. So when we do performance, our constituency is as wide as regionally, from national to international. And when we talk about research, we talk about or practice in evolving a new aesthetics for theatre, which has come about by our own engagement of what is post-coloniality for us. And in our opinion, that question can only be addressed through interaction with different times. So that would obviously mean how you engage with the traditional and the traditional performer in the contemporary times. So it's always is about marrying both these times and these differences, so that it gets an opportunity for new creativity to spring out of those interactions. So this is just very briefly what we do.
Nimi, I know that you extend that philosophy to your work internationally, and that Adi Shakti has been really active in engaging in international collaborations. Can you tell us a little bit about why do you do these, and what have you learnt through this process of engagement with organizations and companies whose practice is very different from yours?
See, at the very basic level, interaction and interconnectedness is what we are good as humans. So and what does that bring? That brings new knowledges, because in India we are in the middle of a same culture, but every 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, you'll see that there is a cultural difference. People perceive the world very differently. How they look at the world is very differently. So we are constantly in the milieu of India. We are constantly going in and out of each other's cultures. And that obviously means when you are interacting with these cultures, it also enriches what you perceive of the world, and that outcome and that insight is what's going to be reflecting in the arts that you practice in. So this kind of bridge that we create between ourselves, between the region that you are, and if you really go out to a different practice, I think it's been the core of what we believe, which enriches us as artists. So it's been a very core idea of how Adi Shakti functions. And I think in that way, we give a lot of importance to how we look at different culture, how we interact with different culture, so that it brings about a different way of understanding our own culture.
Can I just ask, just on that subject, if you don't mind, Pri, if I ask another question? I'm really, it doesn't always work though, does it? I mean, when we bring ourselves into this kind of collaborative space, we need to also shed some aspects of our own practice, or a sense that an openness to doing things differently, but also a capacity to really look at ourselves, what we bring into the room. Can you talk a little bit about examples where it's gone really brilliantly, in that there's been a kind of mutual coming together, a shedding of kind of the rules, and a formation of new ways of interaction and engaging, and perhaps maybe when it hasn't worked so well? Do you have any examples that you can draw on?
Well, collaboration is wonderful. But I think true collaboration can only happen by being understanding of each other. So if I have to understand another person, or the other as we call it, I should also be ready to face conflicts. And these conflicts is not about hurting each other. This conflict is about probably understanding of each other. And I think in that way, what usually we miss in collaboration is the space and time that we give for artists. Because at the end of collaborations, we have a tag, which is that a product has to come out of it. And that is an imposing task that has been given to many artists who have to do collaborations. Why don't we look at collaboration as something that will unfold over a period of time, where we understand each other's work, and from that mutual trust, that something comes about. And we believe in that kind of collaborations and interconnectedness, because it can't be external, because everything in the world is now becoming external, and that is not of any use for me as an artist, unless I am given the space. I'm not talking about a space where there is the mind is, you know, is going into a complete sense of like, you know, I have time and therefore I will take endless time to create something. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a very productive exchange where you begin to trust each other, and out of that trust comes something that is productive. Then that particular seed has the potential for it to grow into a big tree. And we don't usually see that. We want to see the tree already, and that's not possible.
Yeah, that's just such a great insight. Thank you. Priya, I'm going to throw over to you.
Yeah, that's great, Nimi. Which is kind of going on to the next question that we had for you to think about is what has been the impact of the current situation, the lockdown, the virus on your work, and how do you see the possibilities for seeds being planted and trees to grow over a long period of time, given the current situation, and how are you approaching it?
Well, I guess it has been knock to all of us, the current situation. It's also a kind of a wake-up call. It's also have told us to slow down a little bit, and also to reflect on what you really want to do as artists, and probably as other professionals, as to how they look at life. And I think artists already have innate nature of reflection and reflecting on what is the arts that you practice. But this current situation, I think it's going to impact us economically, beyond anything that I can see. Because as I was saying earlier, we are a service industry, and therefore we need to see each other, and that's the only way of working. And especially if I to look at the practice that we do, that is theater, I think every other medium probably can reinvent itself. Like music can be on CDs, it's already on CDs. Cinema is releasing on online platforms, on internet. What do you do as a theater artist? Our strength lies in we being present on stage, where our sweat is also tasted by the audience who is sitting in front of us. So what do we do as theater practitioners? We can't be distant. We can't be on a phone screen. We can't be on a TV screen. That's not the strength for us as theater practitioners. So it's going to be quite a challenge as to how do you move forward and the signs are that things will not be normal for some time. So I guess everyone is reflecting on it. But it's very, very hard to say what is the answer and how do we go forward. But the immediately what we are doing at Adi Shakti is to continue with our work with the same or more rigor. And when you occupy yourself that way, something will come out. And we have to give that time for that insight to spring out of ourselves. But for the time being, what we are doing is rigorous practice. And that's what we are doing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Could you maybe talk to us this idea about rigorous practice? How could it be a way for us to reimagine, you know, as we develop, because we're all sort of locked down in our own places. And I've been talking to people in different parts of the world, and everyone's saying, in a way, this crisis is a crisis of capitalism too. The forced production of products, we're actually being given a reprieve from the constant product situation. And how do we now use this moment for that rigorous practice? Catriona is also commenting about that. What is it about rigorous practice that we can use to reimagine our future encounters as we keep going? And what do you think Adi Shakti can offer as we think about this question?
Well, rigorous practice. Well, I was asked this question once as to how do you prepare for a performance on the day of the performance. And my answer was that the day of the performance is not important. The important days are the days prior to the performance. And that could be that I would just be probably I would be performing 30 days in a year, scattered. So what do I do with the rest of the days? That is where the rigor comes. The rigor comes of self-disciplining yourself, where as a live performer, sometimes the product that we talk about is not even visible. Well, if I make, let's say, if I make bread, I have dough to show. And I say, okay, bread, there is bread in front of me. But if I were to talk about a product as an artist, it is an inner movement that I feel inside, and that is not visible for you as a person. And so how do we define product? So it's a movement that I feel inside, and therefore that has to happen over a period of time. And that discipline of doing that every day, of seeing, okay, I was here today and I probably be in the same place for the next 1 month or 2 months, but I will make a movement inside of myself, which is also for me a growth as an artist, which is where the rigor comes from. And is that what you were asking me? I don't know if I got carried away.
Yeah, and also I guess it's this larger question about how can the pandemic help us strengthen perhaps our international connections too? Like, what is it, insights from Adi Shakti that you can offer us in terms of the way that you've created community, a community of artists that lives, breathes, sleeps, eats, and dreams theater morning, noon, and night, 7 days a week. I know when I've been there that there is no Saturday or Sunday, there is no break. There is nothing but breathing and living the arts in its holistic sense. I'm wondering how you can think about what kind of insights you can offer us when we are in a moment of crisis everywhere, and everyone has to actually rethink what the arts means. Because here we're having problems with the fact that the government is now saying, well, we can slowly come out of this crisis mode, but you can only have 10 people at a time together, and maybe we'll get up to 100 people. So we're also trying to reimagine ourselves in community, thinking differently about the arts. And the reason I really love what you all do at Adi Shakti is that breathing, living, dreaming, the holistic sense of the arts, and how do we learn from that?
I think for us the focus is local, and from local we have to again see where it can take us, because at this point it's just us, and we have to now bring ourselves to the village, and from the village probably we can see how far we can extend ourselves. We are only looking at that for the time being, because any other bigger picture is only in your mind. But it is something that we've done before, so it's not that we are alien to the idea of travel and how you connect with artists. But this kind of having an interaction at this point for us means that we have to reconnect with the local community again, and build that trust of coming together. And from local, we have to move nationally. And we are not even thinking about international at this point, because that's going to be a big step that probably would only happen in a year or in 2 years. That's what it looks like. But if it happens before that, I guess everyone would be happy. But our concentration at this point is local, to bring in our own community to us, and to take ourselves to the local community. And I think that's where we are at. Beyond that is it's in our dreams. So I guess we have to see how all of this will happen. But having a bridge of locally, nationally, and internationally before keeps us connected to the other. So I guess that connections can only exist virtually now. But soon we are all figuring. I guess there is no clear answer. We have to figure as to how it is all going to unfold. But I think the focus will be local and national.
Can I ask
Great.
you something, Nimi?
Yeah.
I know that you have a lot of connections with Indian diaspora here in Australia, but what attracted you to Australia as a collaborative partner? And what was your experience like here when you were working? You've worked with a number of different companies. What's been your experience? What are Australians like to collaborate with from your perspective?
I love you guys. That's what I can say. I loved it because I love how open people are. I love how people are not afraid of vulnerability. People are not afraid to say that I'm scared. Artists especially, and also to have this open-mindedness to say that probably, I welcome you in enriching myself. That kind of openness is not something that it is immediately around us. I have friends who are like that, but it is not something that you see very commonly. So the artists that I got to interact with in Australia were very generous towards me, and that generosity is what is very important in artistic practice and as artists. So I guess that is what is attracted me most towards your culture and your people. Yeah.
Thanks, Nimi.
Nimi, we have 5 minutes left, so I'd like to use this time for people, if they want to ask any questions to Nimi, to unmute and ask. I'm looking to see if anyone has specific questions. Melissa had a question about the borderless world through online conversations, and I guess she's asking what benefits come to you as an artist to have international collaborations online, and have you thought about what that might mean?
Like the same point that I was making, we are not supposed to be existing virtually. We are supposed to interact, seeing each other. So that's not happening at this point. But the technology has come to us so much that we can also exist this way. So I guess the exchanging of ideas can happen. But as an artist, what I value the most is to go on the floor, to practice, to probably wrestle with the ideas that I probably get from elsewhere and virtually. So a borderless world would be something that we'll have to dream about in the future. But yeah, but this current situation has told us this particular pandemic doesn't even look at you as in terms of people with border, race, color. It doesn't show any of those. So it's all a kind of an open frame. But I would like to exist on floor and on stage than virtually, probably. Yeah.
Thank you. And Ellie, do you mind maybe running that second clip of Nimi's work, her most recent work called Bali, which has been seen in a lot of places. And Nimi, if you could just say 1 minute, 30-second intro to what Bali is as a work.
Well, Bali is not the place Bali. A lot of people confuse with that. But Bali is a character from our epic called Ramayana, where he was a king in a forest and he's killed in a certain way by the hero, what we call as the hero of the story. And in the Ramayana, there are certain kind of, I wouldn't say opinion, but reason as to why Rama, the hero, killed Bali. And the play talks about what is your notion of right and wrong? Was it right for Rama to kill Bali in the way that is described in Ramayana? Or what is our individual notions of right and wrong in terms of, and I've taken this particular story so that different viewpoints can exist as this story being the fulcrum. So there is Tara, which is Bali's wife, who has a perspective as to why it was wrong. And there is Sugriva, who is Bali's brother, who justifies Bali's killing. So there are multiple characters who come and argue their right and wrong on Bali's death. So that is what the play is about. It's episodical in nature and it connects to, and I believe, because when we talk about myth, we talk about it as a different time, therefore it is a story. But as I read more into myth and into our epic, I feel they have dealt with everyday emotion much better than how we deal with it now, or it is much more complex. So it is, for me, it is an everyday thing. When you read into the myth, you'll see that it is the same, except that they probably wore dhotis and crowns and had crowns in their head, probably, we don't know. But the emotions are the same, the situations are the same, how we negotiate the emotions are also the same. So the play also deals with, in terms of structure, it moves from everyday into the epic. So there is this constant movement of back and forth that takes place. Yeah, I'm very
great. I think
everyone understood.
we will. I think we'll end by showing everybody that 1 minute clip.
Yeah.
And people continue to connect to you through Arts Front. We'll make sure they have your email and more details about Adi Shakti as well. Thank you so much for you.
Thank you,
everyone today. Thank you to Arts Front. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you.
Nimi. Take good care.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Till
you,
next
everyone.
time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.